don't know where we're going with that.
I don't know either.
Scratch all of that. Well, hello, beautiful. Welcome, welcome. It's Shandy, and I have two exciting things to show you today. Thing number one is how to weave in ends in your knitting. We get asked this question a lot, so I'm excited to show you. Then thing number two is I'm going to be showing you a beautiful shawl called Laiken, in which this technique will be super useful. This beautiful Laiken shawl was designed for you by Jane Vancellis, and I would say this is for the beginner to advanced beginner knitter because it primarily just uses knits and pearls. And Jane really wanted the glow and the colors of the yarn to be the star of the show, so her gorgeous texture design really complements that. This pattern is a boomerang shape, so you start here and you've got this beautiful texture as you go along, and it gets larger and larger, and then you change colors here towards the end, and you've got some different textures going on too, so it definitely keeps things interesting. And then it finishes with this beautiful ribbing on the end. Now, the cool thing about boomerang shape shawls is they maintain that shape as you go along, so you can easily adjust the size, smaller or larger, and they wrap really easily around your shoulders, so they're gonna stay put when you wear them. What I love most about this shawl, since the yarn has a bit of a glow to it, the light just boing, bounces off all of those textures. You've got all these different textures in the different sections and just creates an absolutely gorgeous look. We used our plant-based ephemeral fingering yarn for this pattern because it does have that gorgeous sheen in it, just a little bit of blink, blink, very subtle and sophisticated, and it is beautifully drapey. It's got that gorgeous cotton in there, so it just hugs your shoulders. It's really very gossamer-like. That's why I called it ephemeral fingering. It feels very lightweight and luscious, and it makes beautiful shawls and draping tops. If you would love this pattern, you can download it at expressionfiberarts.com. You can also find the direct link to the pattern and the yarn in the description box below. Since this pattern has color changes and you're gonna have some tails to weave in when you're done, I thought today would be a golden opportunity to show you how to weave in your ends. Before we get started, there are 4 quick things you need to know about weaving in your ends. The first thing is, do not stress about this. The point is to truly just get those ends woven in nice and tightly and securely so that they don't come undone. So however you get it done is how you get it done. The second thing is, typically I recommend that you block your item first and then weave in your ends. It's not crucial, you don't have to, but I feel like if you weave your ends in first and then you go to block your item, it might pull it out a little. So typically you want to block your item, then weave in your ends. The third thing is, you are going to need a blunt darning needle. If you don't have one and you're in a pinch, you can use a crochet hook too, and that works just as well. And the fourth thing is, when you are cutting your tails, you want to leave about 4 to 6 inches so that you have a little bit of something to work with when you go to weave in those ends. Here are a couple of different ways that you can weave in your ends. Let's go ahead and thread our tail onto our darning needle. I like to just wrap it across, pinch it, and slide it through. And I am using a contrasting thread today so you can see it more easily, but of course you'll be using your tail of the same color yarn. All right, for this method, we're going to start by finding a little hill. So you've got hills and you've got these little valleys. Go ahead and insert your darning needle into a hill and then jump over to the left a little and you're gonna find a little valley, and you can slide it just like that and go ahead and pull your tail up. Okay, now you're gonna jump over a hill. Whee! Slide into the next valley, angle it back slightly towards the right, and go into this hill down below. All right, so that's sort of the setup. Now we're gonna repeat, watch this, it's super fun. Slide into the valley, bleep, up into this next hill, angle it back to this same little valley that the yarn is coming through right there, and go ahead and pull your yarn. Now jump over your hill, bloop, into this valley, angle it back into this same little hill, and slide it through. And we're going to keep repeating that as we go along. Jump across that valley into the next hill, angle it back towards this little valley, the same one that we went in before. Bloop. And I'm going to leave it a little bit loose today. You can go ahead and actually pull yours. I'll just leave it a little loose so you can see what I'm doing. Jump over the hill, into the valley, angle it back into this same heel down here, and just keep repeating that a few more times, and this is really going to lock in your ends. Skip the valley, jump up into the hill there, angle it back and up. And once you get going with this, you'll find it quite simple. And when you flip it over, you're gonna find you can't see it. Even in this contrasting color, and especially when you're using the same color, it just blends seamlessly onto the back. If that method is just a little too much and you're like, I just don't have that in me right now, then here's a simpler method for you. This method is super simple. You're just gonna locate either your little hills or your little valleys, whichever one you wanna do. I will pick the hills. Insert your needle into one, jump over at an angle, jump into that next hill, jump over it, angled again, and we're just working our way diagonally down, sliding through those little hills there. So we've got a little bit of an angle going. Now you always want to change directions when you're weaving in your ends. That helps them to really stay secure. So I'm just gonna jump over here to these hills because hill jumping is super exciting. And I'm just gonna weave up this direction. And you're gonna find this is really well hidden as well on the front of your work. And of course you would cut your tails, these extra little tails here, when you're all finished. Now here's another little tip. If you are concerned about your ends coming undone, you can use fray check on those ends. This is typically used for fabric seams, but you can use it in your knitting. I have on some projects. It does leave a tiny little bit of a crispy finish, but it will help to ensure that your ends definitely stay put. So that is how you weave in your ends. I hope you learn to love it and enjoy it because it's all a part of the beautiful process of knitting and it can't be avoided. You go out and have a most marvelous day, and I'm gonna see you for our next pattern. Bye for now. What is it? I just can't today. Pew, pew, pew. All about fun. Oh, okay. Do not stress about it. I'm a Wild West gunslinger. This is knits and pearls. Period. I don't know where we're going with that. Scratch all of that. You go out and have a wonderful day because you deserve it, and don't you forget it. Bye for now.